Emergency trade cutoff deadline approaching. First question came from my guy, Gold Morano. He said, Ingraven, I need to state something that may not be a popular opinion, but I have to do this. As you remember, I've been pleading since last year for EDC to draft or make a trade for the number one wide receiver, that dude, that we have so desperately coveted as Ravens fans. As much as that need still exists, we can all see the difference in our offense when Gus Edwards starts. Gus is 2-0. Now that he has damaged his hamstring, who knows how long he'll be held out. Hamstrings are very difficult to heal. I'm going to stop calling for a trade to take place for that wide receiver who could change games for us. Shout out to Deshaun Jackson. Instead, I see what you're doing there. But he said, instead, I'm going to go all in on the importance of getting a warrior running back who can keep our ground and pound game on smash. Dameon Pierce, 22, of Denver would be that player. At this point, even more important than landing a wide receiver and dynamic talent and who doesn't spend most of his time on IR, this offense needs to double down on the running back position. We'd be foolish to put all of our eggs in the Dobbins basket. Bringing him back before the playoffs will be likely ill-advised. Kenyon Drake, who's 28, is getting old for a running back, but he has made me a very proud fan. Nonetheless, Pierce would take so much pressure off the physical therapist to rush Edwards and Dobbins back onto the field, since he is our only remaining opponent with a winning record, so the likelihood of us having a playoff berth is very likely. Let the bus and JK heal. Am I alone in my belief on this matter? That would be very Raven-esque. Because I know that the trade deadline's obviously around the corner. I think it's November 1st. And the way that I'm feeling about possible potential trades, I just don't see the Ravens making like a splash trade. I feel like right now they should have every incentive to, especially sitting at 5-3 with a long break, and you're not even in your bye week yet. Like, it feels like we in the bye week, but they not even in the bye week yet. But they got this long break, and then they'll play next Monday night. Not even this one, next Monday night. So you got a long stretch. But I expect them to make a move, but I don't expect it to be some move like a lot of people want or hope. Like you talked about with the wide receiver, I don't think that's happening. I don't. I would love for it too, but I don't think it will. Simply because just of how they moved, how they do move, how they operate. It's just, I don't think they're going to do it. There seems to be a lot of sellers in the wide receiver department, but I don't think the Ravens are going to be buyers. Especially since they just signed Deshaun Jackson, and he could be brought up any day now. I really thought he was going to play against the Bucks. I was surprised he didn't play against the Bucks. Hopefully that's not an indication of his health or anything like that. He is older. He's 35, so I don't know. But something like a running back, I could see them doing something like that. And I see what you're saying. Like, yeah, with Gus is the best running back on the team. And he makes a big difference, obviously. So hopefully he'll be good to go by next game. Hopefully. Drake showed that he still got it. And Justice Hill too now. Justice Hill too. But if Gus, I don't think he'll be out for too long. But we'll never know. JK's out for a little while. They still got Mike Davis. Mike Davis has just not looked. In preseason, he looked like he was fine to me. But then regular season came around. Yeah. So at running back, I feel like the Ravens, depending on what's up with Gus, everything depends on him. If Gus is out for a while and it's just Justice Hill, Mike Davis, and Kenyon Drake, and I think they could possibly make a move at running back. But whatever they do, I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. I really don't. I think it should be, but especially because, again, they showed a lot of promise against the Bucks. They showed a lot of promise. And, I mean, they've shown promise all season this year, but they just haven't closed. They've shown bits and pieces of it, but they hadn't put it completely together. Against the Bucks, they were showing that those slow Ravens, they were slow starters. They were not scoring. The defense was doing its thing for the most part, though. But the offense just was lackluster. But then they woke up. They made some changes. They made some adjustments. Whoa! And then they started doing their thing, and it looked a lot better, smoother, efficient. all that stuff. It looked good. So I just feel like the Ravens should capitalize on that, but I just don't know how much they will.
Yeah, this feels like a dream, and you know just what I mean. You see my boy, he like gotta made it. Boy, he's a fan and he like the Ravens, and you know just what I mean. You too, team, keep it clean. You see my boy, he like gotta made it. Boy, that's my homie, ain't that right engraving.
So team, keep it clean. Welcome to another episode of Questions from Subs. The next question, well, I guess more so comment, came from my guy, and appreciate you being a patron, my guy Martin. He said, Will Fuller's still out there, just saying. And yeah, that's why I feel like Ravens, that's one of the biggest reasons why I feel like Ravens won't make a significant move at wide receiver. Because they feel like their way that they've been doing it is the right way, is the best way. Their philosophy at the wide receiver position is what it is. So yeah, they could sign a Will Fuller. They signed a Deshaun Jackson. They apparently signed Andy Isabella. Don't know what happened with that. I know so many people have been asking about Andy Isabella. What's going on with him? No clue. But I just feel like they won't want to really invest. Hey, I would love to be wrong. But I just feel like they won't want to invest anything into a significant wideout. And again, I always hear people say, well, what would be the point if it be in Giro's system? Why would we get a significant wide receiver? Because we still got the same system. Well, again, you don't want to undercompensate Greg Roman. You don't want to undercompensate this offense. You don't want to undercompensate Lamar Jackson when it comes to the wide receiver position. And if they were to get somebody of significance at the position, and that person still wasn't shining, then that would highlight the inconsistencies with the philosophy. So that would put all eyes on it, and that would give them even more reason, hopefully, to upgrade it. Next question came from Amari, and I appreciate you being a patron. He said, "Hey, Ingraven, just wanted to check in with you, man. Love the way the new Lamar Jackson looks. This is the new MVP. This is the Lamar with the suit and tie on. No turnovers and slowly killing the defense. What a way to win versus the Bucks." Yeah, it was. It's not as many big plays, but games like this are exactly how the playoffs are, and you have to be able to win slowly. I mean, you got to be able to win, period. So games can go like those three. Playoff games can go like those 3 Ravens losses this year, or they can go like the 5 Ravens win. It's really up to them to choose which route they're gonna take. And he also said, last thing, how about Giro? They obviously came out passing so that in the second half they could adjust and be ahead of the defense instead of the other way around, where we run early and get caught passing late, putting Lamar under pressure. Maybe the late game losses also have to do with the coaches not managing the game enough. They did great tonight. What do you think? Yeah, I was impressed with the adjustments. They said it was the plan, so I guess we got to believe what they say, right? They said it was the plan, so okay, cool. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised in how everything went down, because going into halftime, the way that this season has been, I was not expecting there to be adjustments. I really wasn't. I was expecting a lot of the same stuff. But they made some adjustments, ran some nice plays, ran some different plays too. So maybe now the vault he's reaching back into it. Next question came from another patron, my guy Jason. He said, Ingraven, hope you're enjoying the win live. Real quick, this was the step-up game from the other players that we needed. And I am not one to give Roman his flowers, but I fully acknowledge that second half was a masterclass. And quite possibly the most redeemable that man has done in 3 years. Ravens booked the win. # team keep it clean, enjoy. Yeah, it was impressive by Greg Roman, the way that the offense was being called. It was impressive by Lamar Jackson, the way he handled everything. It was impressive, the run game, Gus Edwards, Drake, Justice Hill, everybody did their thing. And they came out in the third quarter and just started right away once they got the ball. Now, my thing is, that was cool, that was great, but my thing, why I can't get too high on it. I loved it for sure, but got to be realistic about it. We want to see consistency. We don't want this to be just they pulled it out all again. They pulled it all out against the Bucks. They did their thing, and then the following game they end up coming out flat. No, we want to see consistency now. This is what we wanted to see all season: consistency and adjustments, adjusting to what your opponent is struggling against. Adjusting to what you were struggling with, just fixing stuff in quarter, at halftime, fixing stuff during the game. And not looking back, oh, well, we got to play better. Oh, we got to do better. We know you got to do better, so do it. We just don't want talking from the Ravens. We want action. And that comes from every level. It obviously comes from the coaches. It comes from the players. It comes from the mix of both of the two. But we just want to see consistency moving forward. That's been the biggest thing. So there was a lot of the ugly consistency that showed itself early in the game. And there was some inconsistency that showed itself late in the game because they actually adjusted. And they were so inconsistent at doing that. So now we just want to see what they do moving forward. They still got a lot to prove. Still got a whole lot to prove. But they have an opportunity to do it. Next question came from my guy Brian, and I appreciate you being a patron. He said, "What's up, Ingraven? Hope you and yours are doing well. Bucks game was crazy last night. Ravens fans took over the stadium in the fourth quarter." I mean, I really say really all game. I know I was sure running my mouth. I was running my mouth. But anyway, he said, "Man, Tyler Linderbaum took over that game." Yeah, that boy did his thing. I didn't even realize it. I didn't see it live, but after seeing the different highlights and stuff and seeing the way that he was just running downfield, knocking dudes on their back, yeah, man. He ate Devin White alive all night long and did a lot better with Vita Vea in his face than I expected. Yeah, all except for that sack. But besides that sack, yeah, he was doing his thing, man. Rookie. So he said, "I think he's our next superstar lineman." How do you feel? Oh, yeah, he could be. He definitely on his way. So this was a nice game from Linderbaum, man. Nice game. Really, I can't even say underrated game because people are seeing. So good stuff for him. He said, "How do you feel about Bateman? As hurt as the Bucs secondary was, he was still a non-factor prior to going out." Yeah, how many targets did he have? I know he had one target down the seam, but I don't know if he had any targets besides that one. But he was in and out. I'm not really tripping over Bateman's game because he went into this game hurt and he left the game hurt. And he was in and out of the lineup, and then he finally just went out, period. So I ain't really tripping on Bateman off of this game. He said, "I think it's time Ravens get a true number one wide receiver because Bateman is not looking like that guy. Have a great one, my man. Go Ravens." Now, I do agree with that part. They should get a true number one. I'm with you all day on that, but I don't expect them to. Next question came from another patron, my guy Phil. Appreciate you too, by the way. He said, "Last night after Andrews and Bateman left the game, we saw that Lamar started to trust the other weapons the team has. He spreaded the ball out around to 5 different players instead of relying on his main 2 guys, which he usually does. The Ravens only have one game through the next 22 days, so I believe it would be smart if Andrews and Bateman sat out to recover through the next 22 days, then to come back after the bye week. Next Sunday's game versus New Orleans seems pretty easy next Monday, you mean, but due to them dealing with multiple injuries. Plus, I'm glad to see that they let Lamar throw the ball. The main thing about this that caught my attention is how fast Lamar was getting the ball out of his hands to open guys instead of holding on to it and taking sacks like he did last week. Graven, your thoughts, take care. Appreciate it. A lot has to do with the play calling, too. Instead of calling all these long, deep, developing, downfield plays all the time, they were calling short stuff. They were calling the quick stuff. And this allowed us to see the Lamar that we saw during training camp. Because I remember during training camp, when we went there, we saw Lamar being just very decisive, very quick, making decisions fast, accurate. And then we got to see that in this game, too, when they called the type of game for it. See, it goes hand in hand. I know we talk about all the time, yeah, we want Lamar to be decisive, make quick, good decisions. But if the play calls are not going like that, then how can he be decisive to make quick decisions? If everything going downfield and the offensive line is what it is, they're not great. They good at run blocking now, but pass blocking, it's been a little shaky. So if you got a shaky offensive line and a bunch of downfield plays, what's that going to do? And there have been times when Lamar has not been, there may have been something short in front of him, but he's looking downfield, looking for that big play too. So there have been times when he missed opportunities as well. But it's important that stuff gets called so the opportunities are there. And that's an easy way to get Lamar in a rhythm, to get the receivers in a rhythm, and to just get everybody involved. So they need to keep that up. Still have your deep shots, of course. I don't think they took not one deep shot. No, maybe he took like one. But one, if that, maybe two. But I remember one for sure. But they weren't going downfield that game. So it's important, and maybe with Deshaun Jackson, he'll bring that element. But it's crazy that we it's week going into week 9, and yeah, we relying on Deshaun Jackson to be a savior for Ravens offense. Think about that, relying on Deshaun Jackson to come in and bring something to the Ravens offense. A 35-year-old wide receiver that the Ravens signed after week 5 or 6. That's like, again, that's why I'm hoping they do something there. I really do. But we'll see. We're all right when we want to be all right. Next question came from my guy Flex. He said, I did not expect us to win this game. Hey, me either. I didn't. But anyway, he said, we had been up and down through 7 games, and I could smell the blowout brewing. We were close to finessing the game away to Cleveland. Tampa was coming off a horrendous loss to Carolina, and it was a short week. I just knew Tampa would come out with something to prove. Oh, yeah. Especially they kept, like, I love and hate, because it start messing with your mind. I love when they start putting out all these different records that these different teams have, different quarterbacks have. And for Tom Brady was like, oh, after losing 2 straight, he's never lost a third in a row. And I was like, oof. I said, oh boy. And I know these 2022 Ravens, man, they've been something. And it's like, yeah, it's Tom Brady, so we know he's gonna get a couple calls. And he did too. He did. There was a defensive pass interference that they called. It was on Brandon Stevens. It was such a terrible call because he was turned around looking at the ball, made a play on the ball, and they called pass interference on him. And I said, don't try to save him. Don't try to save him. But then later on in the game, they gave the Ravens a makeup call because not number 9, it's a number 8. Well, I think it's number 8. I think it's a rookie tight end, but whoever it was. Oh, no. Or was it, I forgot who it was. Somebody, Brady threw a pass to him, and the receiver caught the ball. It hit the ground, but he maintained control. But the ref said incomplete. It should have been a completion. And I was telling the Bucs fan in front of me, I was like, it should have been a completion, but that was a makeup call. That was a makeup call for that garbage pass interference call earlier. So, yeah, man. Anyway, he said, turns out Tampa is going through it worse than the Ravens are. It was a little rough in the first half. We came out looking like we were in a 7-on-7 tournament. Lamar threw that thing 30 times in the first half, and we were only down 10-3. 3 points on 30 pass attempts is bad. Yeah. One of those pass attempts was that 4th down to Demarcus Robinson. One of those pass attempts was a throw in the end zone to Mark Andrews that the Bucs defender just made a great play on. But anyway, he said, I won't go there today though. We came out in the second half and flipped the script. Gregory called efficient plays, and I was proud of him for that. I still want him going, though. A dead clock is right twice a day, lastly. See, again, with that, my thing is not even necessarily, fire Greg Roman. But again, I'm not confident that they will have a strong, good philosophy when it comes to the passing game moving forward. I hope they do. But I'm not confident that they will. We've seen this story before. We've seen these games before. It's like, oh, man, G-Ro, he was on it today, baby. And then the next week it'll be like, what? Like, for example, Devin Duvernay. What was the game where Devin Duvernay was literally doing it all? Was it Sunday Night Football? I think it might have been. I think it was against the Bengals. Then the following week was against the Giants, I think. I forgot what the schedule was. But the week where Devin Duvernay was doing everything. I think Rashad Bateman was out. Yeah, I think it was the Bengals game. But Devin Duvernay was doing everything. He was catching. They had him in the backfield as a running back. He was obviously returning too. They had him doing everything. Then the following week, they didn't have him doing nothing. They didn't have him doing none of that stuff. Yeah, he had some passes go his way, but they didn't have him doing half the stuff that he was doing. And it's like, man, when Devin Duvernay gets involved, especially in so many different ways, it's a beautiful thing. But the Ravens, they just decided, you know what? No, Devin, you take the night off. And these are the inconsistencies that I'm talking about. That's why, again, I can't get too high on the Bucs game. Because, again, great second half. Great play calling, great execution, great all of that. But Ravens have shown so many inconsistencies when it comes to that stuff. So I can't get too high on that. But anyway, he said, Kyle Hamilton has played a lot better since I said he can't sing. Hum or skip. It may be slowing down for him. That may be it. And maybe Ravens are finding like better ways to use him. I told you, hey, Kyle Hamilton as a safety, He been all right. Kyle Hamilton as a pass rusher. Hey, there you go. There you go. So Ravens getting even more pass rush help. So let's go. He said he's been put into places where he can succeed, and he's doing a good job. Mike McDonald seems to be settling in. I saw him start to go prevent a little early, though. Yeah, I didn't like that. Ravens were up 11, I think, and he was going prevent because they were giving up all the short stuff, and that short stuff was getting yakking. I ain't like that. But anyway, he said he got out of that and got back to what was working. All in all, it was a good week for us, and I hope we keep it up. I hope they do too. And the last patron question on this episode came from my guy Nazarene, who always be bringing it. He said, sweet victory. What's up, bro? I know you happy. I got a flex for EDC because boy, oh boy, has his draft pick stepped up in a big way tonight. All of them did their thing. So look, remember 3 messages ago on Patreon, I mentioned that I noticed when teams take away Mark Andrews that Lamar spreads the ball and receivers look good. Well, I guess I was absolutely right. Wasn't I? This is what I said. I realized, so he's quoting himself. He said, I realized something. When you take away Mark Andrews, Greg Roman, and Lamar target the receivers, this is exactly what they did versus the Bucs. Once Andrews went down, the receivers started to eat. Now, I think it's a little different because they didn't take Mark Andrews out. I mean, he got injured. So with that being said, it's different than, I think it really forced Lamar to look the other way, look at different guys, because it's one thing to take Mark Andrews out of a game and he's on the field, so Lamar could still look his way, but Mark Andrews was completely off of the field. So Lamar couldn't look at Mark Andrews. He'd be looking to the sideline, but Mark Andrews was completely off the field. So that's not even a read for Lamar. Lamar not checking for Mark Andrews at all because he's not even on the field. So that would force him to spread it out even more. But anyway, he said, once Andrews went down, the receivers started to eat. They got fat bellies tonight. I tell you something else too. If Roman keeps putting 3 wide receivers out there and still running the ball, we're gonna kill teams, my guy. Again, this is what I'm saying, man. I would love it, but I'm not confident that they'll keep it up as far as the sets and we'll see though. The run game had them Buccaneers tired. When the front seven is tired, the secondary is in trouble. Once Roman stops picking 2 things to do in each game and actually mixes up his play calling, I'll respect him more. He has potential to turn Lamar into something pretty insane, which I don't think he will do, but it's a small percent that if he finds his balance in play calling, the Ravens would be a nightmare. You know what's crazy and sad? We're talking about potential for a 4th-year offensive coordinator with Lamar Jackson. That's sad. We're talking about potential. At this point in Lamar's career, at this point in Greg Roman's career, we're talking about potential. That's a sad story, man. So again, I've said it before, and I say it again, and because I still believe this, I do not think under this system, under this team right now, the way they're constructed, I do not think they'll reach Lamar's full potential. I don't think they will. I really don't. They're not built to. But anyway, he said, if he can find his balance in the play calling, the Ravens will be a nightmare. The only way I'm trading for a receiver is if he promises to give him 8+ targets a game at least. And man, our pass rush led by Houston is pretty dangerous. Houston did his thing. I just don't feel like the pass rush was all that last night. I was hoping it would be better. Now they did. They shout out to Broderick Washington swatting that ball down. Obviously, shout out to Justin Houston getting them 2 sacks on that one drive. I don't feel like the pass rush was all that not last night, a couple nights ago. But hopefully they keep improving. He said a job on Bowser somewhere in the hyperbolic time chamber waiting for the green light. Enjoy your weekend, fam. I know I will. And Brady needs to retire, man. His wife does make a point that him getting injured at this age would be pretty scary and life-changing. Well, he obviously sent this before the big announcement because he said Brady's wife. But anyway, he said he tortured the league enough. Oh, man, I forgot something else. That Robert Quinn trade is not impressive. He was only good playing next to Khalil Mack. This year, right now, he isn't better than no pass rushers on our team. Big facts. I don't think, because I don't know if you like directing that at like any Ravens fans that was upset that the Ravens didn't make a move for him, because I don't think that was it. And if you're not, just ignore this next part. Then what I'm about to say. But because I know there was some people that were like bringing up the Robert Quinn trade, what the Eagles did, and like, oh man, but with the Robert Quinn trade, I don't think that people were that Ravens fans were upset that the Ravens didn't trade for Robert Quinn. No, it's not that. I think Ravens fans were upset that the Ravens didn't make a move or haven't made a move yet as of this recording. I think they will, but again, I don't think it'll be significant. But he said, I think it's that people were upset that the Ravens, that the Eagles, they undefeated and they still going in. But the Ravens, they have been struggling and they just hadn't been going in. And they just doing like, okay, here, there, Deshaun Jackson, okay, Andy Spellings, like, okay. But I think it was a good trade for the Eagles because it makes them even stronger. And he's a free agent after this year, so they ain't got to deal with no cap after that. The Bears are taking on most of his salary, so the Eagles ain't got to deal with that. So it's a super low risk, potential high reward for the Eagles, and it could just make them even better. And one last thing before we get out of here, I really appreciate all the Team Keep It Clean patrons and all the Team Keep It Clean channel members. I did not forget about making something that shows all your names in the video. I promise you I will get to that as soon as I can. Things have been extremely busy, but I got y'all. I promise you. So please be patient with me. I will get it done eventually. I don't know when, but I will get it done. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all being so patient, and we out.
Yeah, this feels like a dream.